Good morning, everyone. Glad to be joining you today. We have a lot to cover in this week's lecture, so I'm going to get started right away. If you refer to your course outcomes on your agenda, we've got about 10 different topics we want to talk about today. So these are listed on the next two slides. We'll get right into each one of them. Okay, we have listed here the rest of those topics for today's lecture. The first topic we want to talk about is how to define sleep. And I want to first define normal sleep and then a little bit about abnormal sleep. So we know that sleep is a condition of the body and mind that occurs over several hours every night, in which the eyes are closed, postural muscles relaxed, and activity of the brain altered. And consciousness of the surroundings is suspended. Human sleep is a lifelong, continuous process. Most noticeable are age-related developments in sleep. Sleep-wake rhythm takes place around birth and during the first year of life. And human sleep occurs in a predictably rhythmic manner, which is based upon interacting with the neural activity. In normal sleep, waking episodes of short duration occur late at the night, especially during the REM sleep transitions. Sleep efficiency is well above 90%, and REM sleep accounts for about 20 to 25%. Non-REM is 77 to 80% of that, and wakefulness makes up about 5% of the night. There's a two-process sleep model. Concludes the sleep is regulated by homeostatic and circadian factors. Homeostatic factor is dependent upon the increasing on the person's propensity, which time he has to be awake, and then circadian factor influences sleep propensity by the time of day, timing the occurrence of subjective alertness, sleepiness, sleep, and the occurrence of REM. Linked to other variables are influenced by circadian rhythm as core body temperature and fluctuation of hormones such as melatonin. In normal sleep, let's talk briefly about the consolidation of sleep. As stated earlier, human sleep is a lifelong continuous process. Included in that are naps. And naps are sleep periods during the day served in the newborn gradually when the newborn become concentrated to one long noontime nap for the toddler. Later in life, when napping mainly occurs during the mid-afternoon, nap patterns may vary among different ethnic groups and among individual children. Arousals. During sleep, we have brief arousals that occur about once per hour. Longer arousals are observed, but usually less frequent. Often increase in number of arousals occurs after 9 months, usually disappear at the age of 3 years. Organization of sleep and waking. Human sleep occurs in a predictable rhythmic manner that is based upon interacting with the neural activity. REM and non-REM sleep cycles reflect an alteration between cholinergic and monoamergic neuron activity in the brain. Symptoms include very sleepy during the daytime and having trouble falling asleep at night, which can happen in various times of life or during your lifetime, but we don't want to have it very often. Falling asleep is an unusual pattern or feeling uncomfortable urge to move while you are trying to fall asleep, or unusual or bothersome movements or experiences during sleep are also possible. Having an irregular sleep and wake cycle is another symptom of sleep disorders. In abnormal sleep, sleep disorders can be grouped together according to their behaviors or problems with your natural sleep-wake cycle, breathing problems, difficulty sleeping, or how sleepy you feel during the day. Some common types of sleep disorder include insomnia, sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, and narcolepsy. Things that can disturb sleep, it can make your sleep abnormal, and we know getting enough sleep is essential for your health and well-being. Many things can make sleep difficult, like alcohol, drugs, and medications. Mental, physical illness can reduce your quality of sleep or just as much as the stressor of working shifts at odd hours. There can be sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, waking up several times during the night to go to the bathroom, menopause interrupted by hot flashes, grinding your teeth, sleepwalking, nightmares, jet lag, snoring. Not lack of this sleep not only affects your quality of life, it is dangerous and it has increased chances of having accidents. Okay, let's move on to our next topic and explain how much sleep is enough. Your body's really good about telling you if you're getting enough sleep. It's easy to fall asleep. You don't wake up during the night. You don't wake up too early and you feel refreshed in the morning. Not everyone needs the same amount of sleep, and the quality of sleep is different in different phases. And the amount of time spent sleeping gradually decreases over time. How much sleep is enough? As I stated earlier in the previous slide, we go through stages of sleep. So if sleep is enough and you're feeling refreshed, you actually go through four sleep stages. A deep sleep, stage 3 or 4, or now it's slow wave sleep or delta sleep, or it can be called N3 sleep, make you feel refreshed in the morning. The deep sleep has a significant role in making you feel revived after waking up. The number of hours we sleep doesn't matter if we're not getting good quality sleep. We're advised to sleep 7 to 8 hours a day, but we need to be going through those different phases of sleep into deep sleep. So deep sleep provides the body with immense relief, and deep sleep is about 1.6 to 2.25 hours is needed. In adults, those who sleep less than 7 hours a night may have more health issues than those who sleep more than 7 or more hours a night. Sleeping more than 9 hours a night is not necessarily harmful, but it may be helpful in young adults and those recovering from sleep deprivation and who are sick. I've listed here the recommended sleep hours for different ages. We see in newborns, younger than 4 months, the sleep patterns vary widely. Babies 4 months to 1 year old need 12 to 16 hours a day. Children 1 to 2 years old need 11 to 14 hours. 3 to 5 year old need 10 to 13. 6 to 12 need 9 to 12. And teens need 13 to 18 need 8 to 10. The way you feel while you're awake depends in part on what happens to you while you're sleeping. During sleep, your body is working to support healthy brain function and maintain your physical health. In children and teens, sleep supports growth and development. How you sleep affects your heart, your circulatory system, metabolism, respiratory system, and immune system. If you're tired in the morning, you need more sleep. You need to get consistent with your schedule, the hours you put in, the time you wake up. The longer sleep habits can lead to depression. Longer sleeping habits can lead to depression, higher risk of obesity and heart disease, and not the length of time you're sleeping, but it's the quality of your sleep. Okay, on to the next topic on your course objectives. We're going to talk about sleep and wakefulness. Wakefulness, non-REM sleep, and REM sleep are the three distinct states of existence in sleep. Characteristics of behavioral and physiologic patterns are in each state. We'll talk about each one. Wakefulness stage has the EEG pattern dominated by alpha waves. Stage 1 sleep has alpha waves and low voltage and mixed frequency waves. Progression to stage 2 is defined by sleep spindles or K complexes. Stage 3 and 4, now called N3 or slow wave sleep, is defined by high amplitude, low frequency EEG. And progression of sleep stages occurs in cycles of 60 to 120 minutes throughout the night. Each stage of sleep has a specific neurophysiologic mechanism associated with its generation and control. The brainstem uses various neurotransmitters to influence brain structures, the highest brain structures in the midbrain and cortex. The ascending reticular activating system, also known as extrathalamic control modulator system or simply reticular activating system, is a set of connected nuclei in the brain of the vertebrates that is responsible for regulating wakefulness and sleep-wake transitions. ARAS provide cholinergic, noradrenergic, and glutaminergic stimulation of the thalamus and hypothalamus at the base of the forebrain. Sorry, I murdered those words. Active cortex exhibits a characteristic pattern of desynchronized EEG, which manifests in wakefulness. Various factors affect the need and timing of sleep onset and REM sleep, and REM sleep is controlled by the noradrenergic neurons. Other brain structures are involved in generation and control of REM, such as eye movement and muscle tonia. During non-REM sleep, there is a decreased sympathetic tone and increased parasympathetic activity that creates a state of reduced activity. And in REM sleep is characterized by an increased parasympathetic activity and variable sympathetic activity associated with increased activation of certain brain functions. Okay, the next few slides we're going to talk about the staging of sleep in humans and try to describe to you what happens during the cycles of sleep. There's two types of sleep, the non-REM sleep and the REM sleep. Both REM and non-REM sleep alternate throughout the night for different periods, where we see REM sleep increasing over the night. It's not fully understood between non-REM and REM sleep, the alternation. There's irregular cycling or absent sleep stages are associated with sleep disorders. And we'll get into those a little bit more when we go into the different sleep disorders. Let's first talk about the non-REM sleep. I started sleep many years ago, and since then some of the stages have been renamed. So when I started, there were 4 stages of sleep and slow wave sleep, and now they call them N1, N2, N3, and REM. But I'll use those alternating back and forth throughout the lecture. They're associated with non-REM sleep are associated with distinct activity in each stage, and the EEG shows different characteristics for each of these stages. Non-REM sleep. We'll talk about stage 1, stage 2. Stage 1 would be N1, stage 2, N2, deep sleep, N3 in current standards. We're going to go into depth about each one shortly here, and then kind of put it all together. Okay, let's start with stage 1. This is the transition from wakefulness to sleep. It's the very first stage of sleep that we go into in the non-REM stage. It lasts 1 to 7 minutes in the initial cycle, and it's 2 to 5% of total sleep in normal sleep. It's the transition from wakefulness. There's rhythmic noise, low voltage, mixed frequency waves on the EEG. Stage 2. This lasts 10 to 25 minutes in the initial cycle of sleep onset and lengthens with each successive cycle. It's 45 to 55% of the total sleep episode. It's you need more intense stimuli to wake a person in stage 1, and it's characterized by the presence of sleep spindles and K complexes. The sleep spindles are necessary in the and important for memory consolidation. The next stages are stage 3 and 4 are slow wave sleep, or called currently N3. Stage 3 and 4 collectively are referred to slow wave sleep, or N3. This occurs during the first 1/3 of the night. Each has a distinguished characteristic. The stage lasts only a few minutes and constitutes about 3 to 8% of sleep. EEG shows increased high voltage, slow wave activity, and arousal threshold is the highest for all the non-REM stages in this stage in stage 4. There is importance of getting deep sleep or getting into those different cycles of sleep. Deep sleep is important for cognitive function and memory, and is thought to play a role in language learning, motor skills, and the developing brain. The importance of deep sleep is many. So during this stage, the autonomic body functions like breathing and heart rate are also very slow, and your muscles are relaxed. It can be difficult for someone to wake up, and waking up out of deep sleep may make you feel mentally foggy for up to an hour. While all stages of sleep are necessary for good health, deep sleep offers specific physical and mental benefits. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormones and works to build and repair muscles, bones, and tissues, and immune systems. Additionally, slow wave sleep may be important for regulating glucose metabolism. Elite athletes value slow wave sleep as it helps replenish energy stores. Researchers suggest that deep sleep plays a role in preparing for your synapses for the next day. Put another way, your brain evaluates new memories and then preserves and consolidates them. They're most relevant to deep sleep is most relevant to avoid saturating memory pathways. Although this theory is still under investigation, evidence shows that people obtain a higher proportion of deep sleep after learning a new task, show a higher concentration of slow waves in brain areas related to that task. Deep sleep is the most important for cognitive and functional memory. Okay, let's talk about REM a little bit. We know that they have low voltage, mixed frequency brain wave activity, muscle atonia, and burst of rapid eye movement. The EEG shows the low voltage. The eye movement shows the rapid eye movements. There's sawtooth waveforms or theta activity also present, and also alpha activity. REM period may last only 1 to 5 minutes, but becomes progressively prolonged as sleep episode progresses. There's loss of muscle tone and reflexes, and 80% of vivid dream recall results from this stage of sleep. REM is as important in memory consolidation. The next 10 or 12 slides gives you a lot of the terms used in sleep medicine. I've highlighted those terms which you'll probably run across first, but it's important to review all the slides and look at the definition of each of these. In this particular slide, I've highlighted alpha wave, which refers to the EEG frequency of 8 to 12 hertz. Alpha delta sleep, alpha wave occurring during slow sleep. And when we get into the tracings, I'll be able to point those out. Alpha intrusion, a brief superimposition of alpha wave into the various sleep stages. And apnea, cessation of oral nasal airflow for greater than 10 seconds. A lot of terms here coming up, but let's go again, review the highlighted ones. Apnea, hypopnea, and index is the number of apnea events per hour of sleep. Apnea, hypopnea events per sleep. Arousal is the change of the EEG frequency for at least 3 seconds occurring in any stage of sleep. Awakening, more than 15 seconds of wakefulness during an epoch of sleep. Again, I'll point these out as we look at tracings in the future, but these are common ones that we'll need to score for score a sleep test for the doctor to be able to interpret it. More terms that we need to be familiar with. Beta activity is the EEG activity greater than 13 cycles per second associated with a wakefulness. Cataplexy is a sudden loss of skeletal muscle tone and deep tendon reflexes causing collapse, usually seen in narcoleptic patients. Cheyne-Stokes respiration is a breathing pattern characterized by regular waxing and waning of the respiratory rate and tidal volume, and circadian rhythm is the internal biological clock, and the sleep-wake functions generally tied to 24-hour dark light cycle. Deep or delta sleep is a common term for stage 3 or 4 sleep. Delayed sleep phase is circadian rhythm sleep disorders, normal sleep-wake of the normal sleep-wake cycle. Delta activity is the EEG wave of 0.5 cycles per second to 0.5 seconds in duration and greater than 75 microvolts. And desaturation is commonly denotes the arterial oxygen desaturation. More terms for us. EPIC is a measure of duration of sleep recording that is typically 20 to 30 seconds in duration. The final awakening is an amount of wakefulness that occurs after final wake-up time and until lights on. First night effect is the altered sleep variable due to unfamiliar sleeping environment and recording apparatus, commonly found in subjects in the sleep lab on their first night, and fragmented sleep, repeated arousals or awakenings causing interrupted sleep. A few more pages of terms. Hertz is the unit of frequency, denotes a cycle per second. Hypercapnia is elevated carbon dioxide blood level. Hypersomnia is a synonym to excessive sleepiness, and hypnogram is the non-REM, REM sleep stages and cycle forming the infrastructure of sleep or sleep onset. Hypopnea is referred to the 50% reduction of oral nasal airflow for 10 seconds, usually associated with oxygen desaturation. Insomnia is difficult at initiating and or maintaining sleep. K-complex is a sharp negative EEG waveform, followed by a sharp positive wave at duration of at least 0.5 seconds, an amplitude of 50 millivolts. Light sleep, usually referred to as stage 1 sleep, and microsleep is an episode lasting up to 10 seconds during which external stimuli are not perceived. You may have had those before during your day. I know I have. Montage is a particular arrangement of sleep derivatives displayed simultaneous in a recording. Myoclonus is a muscle contraction in the form of abrupt jerks or twitches. Nocturnal dyspnea is respiratory distress during nighttime. Paradoxal sleep is synonymous with REM sleep, and parasomnia is abnormal behaviors or activities occurring during sleep. We're going to go over those parasomnias, different ones, a little bit later on in the semester. Pickwickian is a term applied to an individual who snores and has alveolar hypoventilation syndrome. REM sleep onset is the commencement of REM sleep, and REM sleep latency is the interval from sleep onset to REM sleep onset. Okay, getting close to the end of the terms, but let's muscle through a couple more. REM rebound is the increased frequency, duration, and percentage REM sleep commonly seen after REM sleep deprivation and CPAP titration. Sawtooth waves are notched appearance in EEG waves, 3 to 7 cycles per second occurring during REM sleep. Sleep architecture is non-REM REM sleep stages and cycles forming the infrastructure of sleep, often plotted on a form of a histogram. And sleep efficiency is a proportion of total sleep time in bed. Sleep hygiene is conditions and practices that promote continuous and effective sleep. Sleep latency is the duration of time from lights off to sleep onset. Sleep paralysis is immobility of the body as sleep offset as manifestation of REM sleep in narcoleptic patients. And sleep spindle, sharp EEG burst, 12 to 14 seconds cycles per 0.5 to 1.5 seconds with 50 microvolts amplitude. Last slide of terms. Quite a bit there to look through and remember, but these will come more easily as we get into the interpretation of the actual test. Theta activity is an EEG wave 3 to 7 cycles per second in stage 1 and REM sleep. Trace alternates is EEG pattern of sleeping newborn, characterized by bursts of slow waves intermixed with sharp waves and intervening period of relative quite low amplitude activity. And tumsciousness or penile is hardening expansion of the penis associated with REM sleep. Okay, we got through those objectives. Again, I take some time and review, especially those highlighted, be familiar with them, and we'll talk more about them as we get into staging sleep and scoring sleep. So let's move on to the next objective in your syllabus, and that includes explain the transition from wakefulness to non-REM sleep, or in other terms, dropping into quiet sleep. In making the transition from wakefulness into light sleep, you spend about 5 minutes in stage 1 or N1 sleep. And on the EKG, the prominent brain waves slow to 4 to 7 cycles per second, a pattern called theta waves. Body temperature begins to drop, muscles relax, and eyes often move slowly from side to side. People in N1 sleep lose awareness of their surroundings, but they are easily jarred awake. Not everyone experiences stage 1 sleep in the same way. If awakened, one person might recall being drowsy while another might have described being asleep. Quite a bit of information on this slide. I hope you can read it. But, excuse me. The idea of dropping into sleep parallels with changes in the brain waves on the onset of non-REM sleep. To the right here, I've included some different stages of sleep with the brain waves associated with them. And when you're awake, there's billions of brain cells receive and analyze sensory information and coordinates that behavior by sending these electrical impulses to one another. And this is reflected in an EEG. So if you're fully awake, your EEG may look messy, irregular, and look like a scribble of activity. Once your eyes are closed, your brain no longer receives that vital input, and the brain waves settle down into a steady rhythmic pattern of about 10 cycles per second. Thus the alpha wave pattern characterized in a calm, relaxed wakefulness. The transition to the quiet sleep is a quick one that might be likened to flipping a switch. That is, you're either awake or you're either asleep, according to the research. Reflected in N1 sleep here. Unless something disturbed the process, you will proceed smoothly through the 3 stages of quiet sleep. Sleep is characterized by many things. The sleep stages are observed. Physiological changes occur, mental aspects and others occur. It's divided into 4 stages, repeated cyclically throughout the night, and lasts about 90 minutes each cycle. Detached from reality during sleep, the body is calmest, its breathing is the slowest, and the temperature is the lowest. There's memory consolidation, replenishment of neurotransmitters, hormone release, immune system strengthening, and this ensures a balance of almost every process in the body. We've talked a little bit previously about sleep architecture, but just to review, the sleep architecture is the basic pattern of normal sleep. You experience 2 main types of sleep, rapid eye movement and non-rapid eye movement. Non-rapid eye movement, non-REM, sleep has 3 different stages, all of which features are different depths of sleep and can be identified through brainwave patterns, eye movements, and muscle tone. You've seen this before in the previous presentations, but here's an example of a normal sleep pattern, cycles through the different stages of sleep throughout the night. Here is a detailed description of how your cycle of sleep occurs throughout the night, and normal sleep has 5 cycles. The body has natural daily rhythms and are regulated by structures in the brain to help determine when you fall asleep and wake up. This progress through the series of distinct physiological stages during sleep. Quiet sleep escalates through the stages to REM, restoring the body and mind. N1, stage 1, you lose awareness of your surroundings and are easily jarred awake. And if awakened, one person might recall being drowsy while the other might have recalled falling asleep. N2 or stage 2 lasts 10 to 25 minutes. Eyes are still, heart rate and breathing are slower than awake. Electrical activity is irregular on the EEG. Large slow waves intermingle with brief bursts of activity called sleep spindles. When the spindles occur, the brain disconnects from the outside sensory input and begins the process of memory consolidation. K-complex is a built-in vigilance system that keeps poised to awaken. and can also be provoked by sounds other than external or internal stimuli, and half the night is spent in N2. During N3 sleep, or slow wave sleep, or stages 3 and 4, all the same, large slow brain waves or delta waves occur on the EEG. We enter a deep sleep, breathing becomes irregular, blood pressure falls, pulse slows to about 20 to 30% below waking rate, brain is less responsive to external stimuli, and it's more difficult to wake up the sleeper. In young adults, the normal sleep architecture consists of 4 or 5 alternating non-REM to REM periods. Most deep sleep occurs the first half of the night. As night progresses, periods of REM get longer and will alternate with stage N2 sleep. Later in life, the sleep skyline will change with less N3 sleep, with more N2, and sleep and more awakenings. Control of the sleep architecture resides in the brainstem and also controls your blood pressure and heartbeat. Fluctuating activity in the nerve cells and the chemical messengers that produce seem to coordinate the timing of wakefulness, arousal, and 90-minute changeover that occurs between REM and non-REM sleep. We've already learned that the sleep patterns change over an individual's lifespan from newborn to old age. The sleep-wake system is thought to be regulated by interplay of 2 major processes, one that promotes sleep and one that maintains wakefulness, as we spoke about before. Humans spend about 1/3 of their lives asleep, yet most individuals know little about sleep. So sleep is a universal need for all higher forms of life, including humans, absence of which has serious physiological consequences. Doing good. We have a few more items on the agenda to cover, so let's get into those. Next one we have on our list is the list of factors that affect sleep with examples. First of all, body system changes that occur during sleep are really easily tolerated by healthy individuals. We may compromise the sometimes fragile balance of individuals with vulnerable systems. Physiological changes can also occur. Factors that can affect sleep include pregnant women who are older or have obesity have a higher risk, such as cesarean sections, gestational diabetes, high blood pressure and low birth weight, and preterm babies. Other risk factors include age, endocrine disorders or changes in your hormones, family history and genetics, heart or kidney failure, large tonsils and a thick neck, lifestyle habits, obesity, and sex. More risk occurs and affects sleep include family history and genetics, lifestyle habits, opioid use, health conditions, and premature birth. External factors that can affect sleep include, and you should just say no to, are electronic devices. Avoid coffee, avoid exercise before bed, and no light stimulus during bed. So no TV in the room to help you fall asleep. It keeps you awake. Just say yes to making your sleeping environment more comfortable for you. So make way for a chilly and shady ambience. Organize yourself to a bedtime routine. Be consistent to your bedtime. Pick the comfiest bedding, bring on some aromatherapy, try some time for exercise prior to going to bed, limit it to how close it is to bedtime, and spend on a new mattress and a new pillow, and also consume more fiber. So what happens if you don't get enough sleep? It can lead to heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, diabetes, dementia, high blood pressure, migraines, mood swings, and obesity. And I think we'll probably go into these a little bit deeper in future lectures, but keep those in mind as we move forward. You've seen this couple slides in previous presentation about how the process of different stages of sleep work on your body's systems. So we know during non-REM sleep that brain activity decreases from wakefulness. In REM sleep, brain activity increases in motor and sensory areas, while others are similar to non-REM. The heart rate in non-REM slows from wakefulness, but increases in non-REM. Increases in REMs um, compared to non-REM. Blood pressure decreases in non-REM from wakefulness, but increases during REM. Up to 30% varies compared to non-REM. Sympathetic nerve activity decreases in non-REM, but increases significantly from wakefulness in REM. Muscle tone, similar to wakefulness in non-REM, but it's absent during REM. More information from REM and non-REM comparison. In non-REM, the blood flow to the brain decreases from wakefulness, but during REM, it increases, depending on the brain region. Respiration in non-REM decreases from wakefulness. During REM, it varies and increases and can now have brief stoppages and coughing is suppressed. Airway resistance increases from wakefulness in non-REM, but increases and varies from wakefulness in REM. Body temperature is regulated to a lower set point in wakefulness in non-REM, and in REM, shivering can be initiated at lower temperatures, and during wakefulness, it's not regulating, no shivering, temperature drifts towards that of the local environment. Sexual arousal during non-REM occurs infrequently, is greater in REM. The next few slides, we're going to talk about sleep changes with aging and in children. Remember that sleep architecture changes continuously and considerably with age. As we had talked about previously, it can change in how sleep is initiated and maintained, and the percentage of time spent in each stage of sleep, and overall sleep efficiency declines with age. The reasons are complex and poorly understood, but let's go through them. At birth, sleep timing is disrupted evenly across the day and night for the first few weeks, with no regular rhythm or concentration of sleeping or waking. Newborn sleep about 16 to 18 hours per day, with the longest continuous sleep episodes lasting 2.5 to 4 hours. Newborns have 3 types of sleep: quiet sleep, active sleep, and intermittent sleep. Newborn sleep onset occurs through REM, not non-REM, and each sleep episode consists only of 1 or 2 cycles because the circadian rhythm has not been fully developed. Circadian rhythms begin to arise around 2 to 3 months of age, leading to sleep consolidation, which manifests into greater durations of wakefulness during the day and longer periods of sleep at night. Emergence of 24-hour core body temperature cycles start at 1 month of age. Progression in nocturnal sleeping 2 months of age, and cycling melatonin and cortisol hormones in the circadian rhythm at 3 months of age. Sleep cycles become more regular at 3 months. Sleep onset now begins with non-REM and REM, sleep decreasing and shifting to later part of the sleep cycle. By 6 months, total sleep time reduces slightly, and the longest continuous sleep episode lengthens to about 6 hours. As sleep cycle matures, muscle paralysis of REM replaces active sleep, and at 12 months, the infant typically sleeps 14 to 15 hours per day, with the majority of sleep consolidated in the evening and during 1 or 2 naps during the day. In young children, one trend that appears to show up is that there's a reduction in sleep amounts decrease as the child gets older. It's not solely attributed to the physiologic requirements, because of the cultural environments and social changes more so. Total sleep time decreases by 2 hours, and this decrease in time of sleep may be a result of decreasing daytime napping. Most children discontinue napping between 3 and 5 years old, and children When children enter school, they begin to manifest circadian sleep phases, night owl or morning bird, and one study found children appear to have longer REM latencies. In adolescence, studies underscore the importance of use of pubertal stage rather than chronological age as a metric. Adolescents require 9 to 10 hours of sleep each night, with few adolescents attaining adequate sleep. Average sleep time for 8th graders is found to be 7.9 hours, and over a quarter of the high school and college students are found to be sleep deprived. Okay, we made it to your last objective on your course syllabus. List the sleep characteristics that change with age and explain their possible neurophysiologic mechanisms. So, problematic sleep has adverse effects on all individuals, regardless of age. Older people show an increase in disrupted sleep and can have a negative impact on their quality of life, mood, and alertness. They sleep 36% less than children. Their sleep becomes more difficult, and the need for sleep does not decrease with age. Difficulty in initiating maintaining sleep in 43% of the elderly, and it occurs more commonly among adults suffering from depression, respiratory system, and physical disability. Changes in sleep patterns affect both men and women differently. Women ages 70 and older spend around 15 to 20% of total sleep time in stage 3 and 4, while men at the same age spend only about 5%. Older women go to bed and wake up earlier than older men, suggesting that body temperature rhythms are phase advanced in elderly women. Older people also experience a decrease in melatonin levels due to the gradual deterioration of hypothalamic nuclei that drive the circadian rhythm. Inability to maintain long sleep episodes with bouts of wakefulness and other medical factors decreasing sleep homeostasis, and an increase in sleep latency and inconsistency in the external cues such as light exposure, irregular meal times, and decreased mobility also decrease homeostasis. Okay, that concludes this week's lecture. I hope it was informative and that you can get the information you need to understand sleep a little better. We'll be proceeding through the objectives of the course, and I'll send you a recording for next week. I hope to join you in class maybe on the 24th. I believe I have a link to get in, so I'll see you all then. Have a great day.